Welcome to National Eyes. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more. Breaking updates: a seismic shift is rattling the foundations of the global coffee trade. Canada has secured a monumental $12 billion coffee deal with Brazil, sending shockwaves through international markets. This isn't just another trade agreement, it's a strategic move that could upend decades of American dominance in the sector. The deal positions Canada, a country better known for maple syrup, as a new titan in the coffee world. The timing is no accident, it's a direct response to the US, under President Trump, imposing punishing tariffs on Brazil. Instead of isolating Brazil, the US tariffs have pushed them into the arms of a new, eager partner. The $12 billion figure represents a massive volume of coffee beans now rerouted north, away from American ports. This is more than commerce. It's a political statement, signaling Brazil's refusal to be cornered and Canada's ambition to seize a historic opportunity. The old rules of the global coffee market are being rewritten, and the industry will never be the same. By stepping into the void, Canada is positioning itself as a reliable partner and sending a message. There are alternatives to US trade policy. The world is brewing a new order, and it smells a lot like Brazilian coffee being roasted in Canada. The current crisis is the result of years of simmering tension and a dramatic shift in American foreign policy under President Trump. The catalyst: Trump's reciprocal trade push, targeting 24 nations, including Brazil, with threats of crippling tariffs. Brazil, a long-standing partner, was given an ultimatum: accept a new deal by August 1st, or face a 50% tariff on key exports like coffee, beef, and soybeans. For Brazil, the world's largest exporter of these goods, the threat was existential. The US aimed to force compliance but underestimated Brazil's resolve and ability to find new partners. The August deadline passed, and the US imposed the tariffs, sending shockwaves through the global supply chain. Instead of isolating Brazil, the move isolated American businesses and consumers from the world's top coffee producer. The tariffs triggered a breakdown in diplomatic and economic relations between the two largest economies in the Americas. Rather than forcing Brazil to the table, the US created a vacuum that Canada was quick to fill. This single act of economic aggression became the tremor that triggered a global coffee market earthquake. The stage was set for a dramatic realignment in the coffee world. Brazil didn't capitulate under US pressure, it fought back. President Lula's government rolled out a massive financial aid package for exporters, ensuring producers of all sizes could weather the storm. Brazil accelerated its pivot away from the US, strengthening ties with China and leveraging the BRICS and G20 platforms. The US tariffs only deepened Brazil's relationship with China, pulling it further into the Belt and Road Initiative. Meanwhile, Brazil began laying the groundwork for a new partnership with Canada, reviving talks for a free trade agreement with the Mercosur bloc. This robust response showed Brazil's resilience and strategic agility, turning crisis into opportunity. By supporting its domestic industry and forging new alliances, Brazil sent a clear message: it would not be dictated to. The stage was set for the groundbreaking Canadian deal and a redrawing of the global coffee trade map. The US's 50% tariff on Brazilian coffee ignited chaos in the global market. The C price for Arabica coffee surged to $3.29 per pound, a level not seen in years, as traders panicked. Robusta futures also jumped, fueled by market uncertainty and reports of frost in Brazil and tightening supplies in Vietnam. Roasters and importers faced a business model in disarray, forced to absorb massive cost increases or pass them to consumers. In the US, buyers delayed shipments, hoping for a policy reversal, creating logistical nightmares and extra costs for Brazilian exporters. The financial burden strained relationships, pushing Brazilian sellers to seek more reliable buyers elsewhere. American roasters scrambled for alternatives: Colombia, Honduras, Ethiopia, but no country could match Brazil's volume or flavor profile. The market meltdown forced a frantic pivot, with established trade flows upended overnight. Soaring prices, logistical chaos, and desperate pivots defined the new reality. The global coffee market was in meltdown, and the old order was gone. While the US built tariff walls, Canada built bridges. The $12 billion deal with Brazil is a masterclass in strategic opportunism, securing a stable supply of coffee amid global uncertainty. By stepping in as Brazil's new primary partner, Canada insulated itself from price shocks and supply disruptions plaguing the U.S. The groundwork was laid through revived trade talks with the Mercosur bloc and a high-profile Canadian trade delegation to Brazil. The deal is the cornerstone of a broader economic and political partnership, creating a new commercial alliance in the Americas. For Canada, the implications are immense: price stability, a competitive edge for coffee companies, and potential growth in processing and re-exporting. Canada could become a major coffee hub, even re-exporting to the U.S. This gambit is a calculated risk, but one with massive potential payoff. Canada is betting the US-Brazil rift won't resolve soon, positioning itself as Brazil's go-to partner. In contrast to US confrontation, Canada's nimble diplomacy may have just won the entire pot. The immediate victims of Trump's tariff policy are American businesses and consumers. With Brazil supplying a quarter of U.S. coffee imports, the 50% tariff has created a crisis for the industry. Roasters face impossible choices: absorb soaring costs or pass them to customers, threatening jobs and livelihoods. Coffee prices are set to skyrocket, turning a daily ritual into a luxury for many Americans. Industry groups and roasters are lobbying for tariff exemptions, warning of broken relationships with Brazilian producers. Alternatives like Ethiopian beans can't match Brazil's scale or flavor, forcing roasters to reformulate blends and risk losing loyal customers. The aftershock is economic pain, consumer frustration, and an industry scrambling to survive a crisis of its own government's making. Industry experts are unanimous. The crisis threatens the very foundation of the global coffee market. Italo Henrique of Expocacer warns that U.S. tariffs will erode Brazil's price competitiveness and damage long-standing producer-roaster relationships. There's no easy substitute for Brazilian coffee. Its scale and flavor are irreplaceable in the short term. Even if roasters find enough volume elsewhere, the taste will change, risking brand loyalty. The tariffs are seen as a political weapon, pushing Brazil closer to China and the BRICS bloc, with long-term consequences for U.S. influence. American importers face logistical nightmares, forced into risky improvisation and volatile pricing. The entire supply chain is in chaos, with careful planning replaced by desperate short-term fixes. The voices from the field are clear. This crisis is deep, complex, and threatens the stability of the entire global coffee ecosystem. The US-Brazil trade dispute is sending shockwaves through global trade flows, forging new alliances. The Canada-Brazil coffee deal is the centerpiece of a broader realignment, as Canada and Mercosur nations build a new economic corridor independent of US influence. This could inspire other countries to seek similar partnerships, reducing reliance on the unpredictable American market. Brazil is also accelerating its pivot to China and the BRICS bloc, fundamentally reorienting its geopolitical strategy. As Brazil integrates further into China's Belt and Road Initiative, South America's economic center of gravity could shift. Other coffee-producing nations may see a short-term boost as U.S. roasters scramble for alternatives but face challenges in scaling up and risk overdependence on a temporary market shift. The global ripple effect is increased fragmentation and instability, with the U.S.-centric trade system giving way to a multipolar world. The Canada-Brazil deal exemplifies this new reality. Nations are building more resilient, diversified trade networks. While this creates new opportunities, it also brings complexity and uncertainty to the global market. The sands of international trade are shifting, and everyone is scrambling for footing. The world is learning to adapt to a new, unstable ground. The only certainty now is uncertainty. The Canada-Brazil deal and U.S. tariffs are foundational cracks in the old world order. The future depends on whether the U.S. reverses course or doubles down, with millions of jobs and businesses at stake. Canada's rise as a coffee powerhouse could permanently alter North American trade dynamics. Brazil must balance supporting its producers and solidifying new partnerships, accelerating its diversification strategy. The global coffee community is at a crossroads, with choices made now shaping the industry for decades. The future of your morning cup is being decided right now.